what's poppin', everybody? It's your boy, Mike Gomes. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're introducing a new series. I'm excited for it. But before we do that, you got to go in the description below and hit that free private Facebook group link. It's going to introduce you to the freaking dopest community here in the real estate industry. I'm pouring a lot of value in there, and I want to pour a lot of time and energy into that free private Facebook group. So if you're watching these videos and you haven't hit the link yet, like, what the heck are you doing? But anyways, today is the day that we're going over a new episode. Now, my guy Ray came into the office. He's a really big realtor out in this area, right? And he's like, Mike, why don't you have people come to your office and interview them that are in the industry? I'm like, bro, that is a great idea. Me and him had a killer interview. I'll be dropping that here in the next few weeks. But for the first one that we're dropping, we have my guy, Marco. Marco is a freaking killer fix and flipper. He does so many different types of deals. He does condo conversions in the city. He does single family fix and flips out in the suburbs. Like, he's doing all the types of fix and flips that you could think of. And he knows a lot of stuff. Like, I met this guy when I moved into this office, and he was just pouring me with value. He was pouring me with information. I'm like, bro, like, you know your shit. He's a good dude to follow and know. So you're going to want to follow him on Instagram. You're going to want to watch his interview. Now let's get into what Marco has to say. Yo, what's poppin', YouTube fam? I got a special guest today, and we're back with another episode of Talks with Mike. Shout out to my guy Ray for coming up with this idea. But today we got my guy Marco here. Marco, what's up, bro?
What up, brother?
How you doing, big dog?
You know it, man. Just out here doing it, man. Just doing it. That's all, bro.
This guy's a hustler. So what happened with this guy, right? We followed each other on social media, and then I ended up moving office spaces from the office that I used to be into this office, and we saw each other. We're like, dang, bro, I know you from social media. You're in this office? I'm like, yeah, I just moved in here. He's like, bro, I do a bunch of fix and flips. I sell houses. I do all the things. Pretty much, we're just in the game doing the same stuff. I'm like, holy crap. We might not have connected as we've connected now if it was not for this office space.
That's right.
So thankful for the office space. But before we had the office space, we connected on social media just a little bit.
That's right, man.
I respect this guy. He's been giving me a ton of sauce on what he's got going on. He's got a shit ton of things going on. So Marco, let's get into it, bro.
Hey, man. And just to mention to what you just said about the office, it was kind of crazy because I used to see all your content on IG because you be going crazy with all the videos, this and that. And I've always asked, oh, yo, who's this guy, Mike? You know what I'm saying? And then this one day I was walking into the office, and then I seen you, right? And then I went on your social just to confirm. I was like, yo, that's Mike. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, what up, man? How you feeling? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But aside from that, my name is Marco Morais, owner of Morais Legacy Real Estate, and focus a lot on fixing, flipping, dipping down onto wholesaling, buying holds, and some other, and other avenues in real estate. But majority of the times, my bread and butter is fixing, flipping, and and that's how we do it, man. What else we got?
So your main thing, this is what you started in real estate, right? Fix and flip.
Nah, I actually started wholesaling. I wholesaled a couple of deals. Wholesale about 3 deals, actually, roughly about 3 deals before I did my first fix and flip. And then from there, just started doing a mix of everything, whatever wouldn't work. Because, as a fix and flip for me, the numbers wouldn't work because I have the minimum amounts that I like to make in a flip end. If it wouldn't work for me, but it'll work for somebody else, most of the times there'll be guys that likes to do the work themselves where they're able to cut their costs and all that good stuff. So, I just write off those contracts to those people. They'll be able to take that route better than me getting subcontractors and all that, where my costs will be way higher than what these guys will be paying for. So I just wholesale it off and
got it. So in the beginning, were you learning, like, how were you learning the game in the beginning when you first started wholesaling?
When I first started wholesaling, man, to tell you the real truth, I was just getting out of the banking industry. Actually, my first 2 months wholesaling, I was still in the banking industry as a relationship banker. So, man, just seeing all the guys that would just pop into the bank, right? And I would ask them, hey, man, what is it that you do for work? I always ask those questions, right? I always ask those questions, right? If I meet someone,
you coming in with a fat check, you're like, wait,
man,
hold on.
It's not even a matter of the check, man. It's just about how you talk, right?
I like that.
If I see you know how to talk, you're putting yourself out there as someone who's smart
Mm-hmm.
and all that. So that I go up to you majority of the times and I ask you, hey man, what is it that you do for work? And
Mm-hmm.
because most of the times, believe it or not, they do something that adds some sort of value to what you're already doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I even asked that the other day. I asked this guy, hey man, what is it that you do for work? He happened to know a lot of contractors that now
Yeah.
are working for me.
I
You
love
understand what I
that.
mean? It's just asking people, hey man, what do you do for work? And say, hey man, I used to be a contractor, but now I'm this. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, for real? You used to be a
Yeah.
contractor? I'm actually looking for this, and that. He was like, hey man, actually one of my uncles does this, and that. He's one of my
Mm-hmm.
best contractors right now. You
That's
understand what I
fire.
mean? And it's
That's how
just
important that shit is. It's like
it's all networking.
it is. I had what the hell? What was the book? I think it was a sales book. I think it was You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar. It's a sales book, right? And he talks about how when he was forcing himself to get into sales, he would make himself if it was, I think he made a rule. If I was 3 feet away from somebody, I
You
had
have
to
to
I
introduce
had to
yourself.
bring up that question. Hey,
That's
what
right.
is it that you do?
You must, man.
What
I
is it
mean,
that you do for work? And you know what's funny? When people ask that, what it really means, like when
mm-hmm.
somebody asks, "Hey, what do you do for work?" It's really like, "Hey, how can we work together?
How can we work
Like, how can
together?
we collab?"
Just say it
That's really what it
in
means.
a more approachable way
Yeah.
as how can we work together? That's true, man. I agree because there's huge opportunities onto just asking people, what do you do for work?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just by asking someone, what do you do for work? They could fill in a shoe that you have that you don't want to fulfill, but they know someone it's either them or they know someone who could do it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There's power in networking. But going back to how I started in the game, but from the bank, I was about 2 months. While I was still doing wholesaling, I was about still 2 months before I left the bank,
Mm-hmm.
right? I was doing all my research on YouTube, straight YouTube, man. And then
So while you were in the banking system, you were
while I
doing
was
this.
in the banking system, I was just learning, different ways I had to go about, jumping onto real estate.
Yeah.
Because I was in the banking industry. It wasn't like I was still, also dipping out onto other stuff like stock market and this and that. So I had some liquidity, but it wasn't as hey man, I want to buy 3 buildings, 4 buildings. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Maybe it would have been enough to buy 1 building,
Mm-hmm.
but not nothing more than that. So
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, how can I get onto real estate with little to no cash? I seen wholesaling pop up. I was like, oh shoot, you know what? I'm gonna
What
start
is
learning
this
about
wholesaling
wholesaling.
thing? Yeah.
Started researching, doing all my research about wholesaling. And I remember it was right before COVID. It
Mm.
was right before COVID, right? I started learning about freaking wholesaling like crazy.
Mm.
And I actually ended up catching COVID. So then
Mm.
I took that time
To just go ham on the
just
content.
going ham,
Yeah.
just learning about wholesaling. And then by the time I tested negative, I was already door knocking.
This is in COVID. You were door
Yeah,
knocking.
man, I was door knocking, man. Ain't COVID.
That was tough. A
I
lot of
was
because
freaking
I
door knocking.
remember that. I remember that time where people were like, "Dang, did we go out and door knock because of COVID?" Like
I had
it's
the
kind of
canine
weird.
masks on and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that. I
yeah,
was
yeah,
door knocking because
yeah.
I didn't know how to go about it. I just researched. It said, here's how you go about wholesale. You could door
Mm-hmm.
knock, you could cold call, you could do this and that. I was like, hey, man, I'm gonna need a wholesale. I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to do that. You know what? I'm gonna do what I know best, right? I'm gonna just walk up and just build those personal relationships right there and there. I'm a door knock. I'm gonna figure it out.
that's what you're good at. You were
And
already asking people at the banking system, like, "Hey, what do you do
exactly.
for work?"
So
So you're okay with going up to a homeowner and just asking, "Hey, what do
and
you have to
just
say
asking
about
them, and just building that personal relationship,
it?" Yeah.
personalizing the whole situation and telling them who I am, what I'm there to do, how can I help them, and most importantly, asking them, what do you need help with? You
Right.
know what I mean? How can I help you? To be a successful homeowner, right?
Yeah.
Because most of the times they could be going through a divorce where they're looking to split assets. They don't want to put the house on the market. They don't want to pay commissions. They don't want
Mm-hmm.
to do any of that stuff. That's where we come in, right?
At
There's
this time, were you a real estate agent too, or
No, I wasn't a real estate. I was
oh,
never a
got it.
real estate agent.
Not even right now.
No, I'm
Oh,
just a
got it.
straight investor
Word.
developer, and I have my partner that's a real estate agent that takes care of that
That's
piece.
that's really dope to have.
Yeah, so I try to focus on what I'm good at, which is finding my deals and put all my performance together and making sure all the finances as well.
I'm the same way.
Getting a group of people
I'm like, dude,
together.
I do not want to have people telling me, oh, I don't want to have this kitchen because I need the refrigerator to be the up and down refrigerator, not that way, or the backyard is not big enough. It's
That's
like,
right,
yo, I don't
man.
want nothing to do with that. I just want to go in there
I
and
just
wholesale or fix
strategize.
and flip.
Yep. Or for me, even when I do the fix and flipping game, right? I go in, I say, hey, I want this and that to be there, this and that. You know what I mean? I just
Yeah,
do the
yeah.
whole strategizing, and then I leave the property, and then I have people which that stays on the field on a daily basis,
Mm-hmm.
just making sure the plan that I set up front is is still
Executing.
intact, and
Yeah.
that's how I do it, man. That's how I've done about a good number of flips.
Yeah, we were talking about this before. You've done a decent amount of flips, like a
Yeah,
lot,
yeah.
especially for your first. What is it now?
The
Three
first year.
years.
Yeah, about the first 18 months. Yeah, about the first 18 months,
That's
I
killer,
did a
bro.
solid amount of deals.
That
So
is killer. So you
blessing,
so
man.
you started wholesaling. You had like 3 wholesale deals, and then you went into fix and flip. What made you turn into fix and flip rather than just keep wholesaling?
Cause there's more money in. I believe so, right? There's a quicker turnaround with wholesales, but there's not even just more money, but it's just you own the asset, right? Even
Yeah,
if you're owning it temporarily, but you still own the asset, and you have all you learn all the ins and outs of being an investor and actually
yes.
owning it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a complete different, you know, it's a complete different thing when you own the building
Yeah,
rather than when you just wholesale the
100%. You
building.
have
There's
no
two.
idea when you
You
just
have
wholesale. You
no
have no
idea.
idea what goes on.
Like I've bought probates, short sales, stays, and the whole nine,
Yeah,
and you could be a wholesaler and bring it to the closing, but it's a different feeling and it's a completely different ball game when you're the investor, right?
exactly.
When you're actually the one purchasing the building, right? And
Yeah,
going through, from funding to dealing with the hard money lenders or dealing with conventional lenders. There's different ways as to how you talk to each one of them, right? There's so
mm-hmm.
much that you're missing out if you're just a wholesaler and you're not jumping onto the fix and flipping
I
game.
agree.
You
I
miss out on
100%
you
agree.
miss out on a lot, right? Because man, it's just even learning how to talk to lenders,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's something really important because that's how you negotiate your rates down.
Yeah.
Building those relationships where then you're doing 2 deals with a lender and now you qualify for 12%, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then after your second deal, third deal,
Yeah.
you go down to 8% because now you're more credible,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's doing those things. But as a wholesaler, you just doing those transactions. You just get into quick cash, but you're not building rapport. You just building rapport with the
Yeah, your
sellers, the
sellers.
buyers, and then your attorneys, which are already your attorneys. But what
Mm-hmm.
about the new relationships, the lenders, the conventional banks, and all of that, right?
Yeah, they're two
And
separate businesses, like
two separate businesses.
completely separate. I teach wholesaling as marketing and sales, and
That's
then
right.
fix and flip is completely different.
Completely different.
You're still doing marketing and sales, but there's much more management and much more business relationships that you need in the
There's a
fix
lot
and
that
flip
goes into
business.
it. There's a
Yeah.
lot that goes into it,
And
man.
then what's cool is once you understand the fix and flip business or even the buy and hold business, right? Because I treat all three of them fix and flip. Wholesale, fix and flip, buy and hold, they're like completely separate businesses. And if you know the last two, fix and flip and or buy and hold, then you become a much better wholesaler
I agree, man.
because
Because
now you can coach your sellers up on why we have to buy the property at the price that we need to buy it. You can also have an understanding of why your buyer is buying the property the way they need to buy it.
that's right.
And now you have much more negotiation power as you're a wholesaler. So I say it all the time,
I
and
agree.
people call me crazy because a lot of my friends just wholesale, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, dude, you don't need to be fixing and flipping. Like all you can do is just wholesale, bro. Forget the
That's
fixing and
right.
flipping. But I'm like, one, I enjoy fix and flip, right? That's how I kind of got in the game.
Same here,
Like it's pretty dope to see a property go from
man.
shit to nice. But two, it helps you out in that wholesale business, in my opinion. So now, once you started fixing and flipping, what happened from there?
From there, I had a couple of, a few actually, a few good partnerships where I was able to take a lot from, right?
Mm.
And learning from a lot of people that had been in the industry for a while. Did some partnerships, and I ended up retaining a lot of information, which now helps me a lot with my day to day
Yeah.
transactions and all that good stuff, right? But it was just more so doubling down those relationships,
So
and
did you learn from those partnerships? Is that like the majority of where you got all the knowledge from?
so
Or
the knowledge in regards to how to go about doing the fix and flipping, right in the beginning, right? I had some mentorship, some sort of mentorship, that helped me push the beginning
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
my first project, for instance. But then from there, it was just more so being on the ground every single day. I was that one guy
That's
when I
it.
first bought my first building. I was there every single day, right? The guys will
Learning.
get in at 7 o'clock. I will be there. I'll be there at 6:30.
Yeah.
If the guys will leave by 4 o'clock, I'll be there until 5. I'll be the
Mm-hmm.
one guy. If I tell the guys, hey, make sure to put your materials here. They don't leave it there. I'll be the one guy staying over there later because I had to move the stuff, making sure everything is well, so that the next day when they come to the job, everything will be well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now it's to the point where I walk through a whole house from start to finish. I'll tell you exactly what to do, from electrical to HVAC to plumbing. I'm the one that you
That's
know
major, bro.
I go in. I tell my guys how to do everything, right,
Mm-hmm.
and how to bring it from the rough stage to the finished stage, from demo to finish.
That's a skill that nobody can take from you. Like
Nah,
that's a skill
cause
in itself, knowing exactly what needs to be done in a fix and flip in order to sell it at the right price point in the
that's
marketplace
right.
is like a
That's very
super,
important,
super
and
crazy
there's a
skill.
lot of subcontractors out there that will try to lie about numbers, right? They'll
Yeah,
say,
and talking to
hey,
contractors too,
yeah, talking to
negotiating with that's a
contractors,
skill.
negotiating with them. They'll
Yeah.
come out of nowhere. They'll say, you know what? To do this one bath for me, it's gonna cost you $10,000.
You're like, come on, dog. I
Come
done
on,
did like
I
50
done
of these
did
joints already.
exactly, and I'm not the guy who just puts some money towards it and then just sits somewhere in the back end. I put my money in. I put my mouth where my money is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Man,
Dude, I had a we have our fix and flip in Brockton right now. And I said to my business partner, I'm like, bro, I don't want to manage it.
that's
You
right.
can manage this one. This is his first fix and flip that he's managing,
Mm-mm-mm.
right? And he's getting quotes from these contractors. And one electrician comes in and he's like, the whole entire thing needs to be redone, taking out
That's right.
$23,000. And I'm like, so just to see what he thought. I'm like, so what do you think? He's like,
Nah,
uh, I don't know. I think it might be a little bit too much. I'm like, yeah, bro.
that's
I'm
right,
like, the
man.
quote should be like $6,000, and you do not need to take everything out. You're
That
doing
is
a couple
correct.
freaking resets, lights, and a couple of the outlets. It's like, yo, he does not need to do all that. He's trying to scam us. So
I agree.
literally, we ended up getting like 2 or 3 more quotes. Ended up landing with somebody at like $6,500.
6,500
Bro, it's
bucks
like
from 23,000 to 6,500 bucks.
that's crazy,
You
bro.
see, it's freaking bananas, man.
And
And
like, who knows if my business partner didn't have me, who had the knowledge of fix and flip, maybe he would have
just
gotten
gone
taken
with the
advantage.
23,000. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, screw it. This guy knows what he's doing. Let's go.
Exactly, right? Because there's a lot of guys who you would think they know what they're doing, and they don't have a freaking clue what the heck they're
Yeah, dude.
doing, right? But there's a lot of learning curves with fix and flipping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll tell you that, man. There's a lot of things that people could tell you, but you're only gonna learn it when you're on the field.
When you're doing it
When
in
you
the field.
actually,
Yeah.
when you're the owner of the building, when you're receiving those midnight calls, right? Hey,
Mm-hmm.
the property was a winterized, so well, one of the pipes was
Bro,
burst in the
let's
ceiling.
not even talk
Yeah,
about
no,
that.
I'm telling you, from my
I had a
personal
scare,
experience, I
bro.
had the same freaking problem, right? In Brockton, actually, I bought a
Really.
building in Brockton in last March.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it was freaking bananas, man. And you know, freaking 2 a.m. in the morning, I would be pulling
You
my
was shitting your
because
pants.
I couldn't freaking sleep. I'm one of those guys, right? If I have all these freaking developments going on at
Mm-hmm.
night, and and at night I know I have all those buildings just sitting there, and I'd be thinking, hey, is the doors locked?
Yo,
Is the
it's
freaking windows shut? I
no.
mean,
I got you.
is somebody getting into the building and then
I
they're
got
freaking
you.
end up twisting their ankles and then they're gonna sue me because by code
Yeah.
I'm supposed to have all my doors locked. My
Mm-hmm.
doors aren't locked. Somebody goes inside of my property, even though it's
That's your
trespassing,
fault.
it's still my fault.
Yeah.
And even if there is any, let's say a 4 foot drop um, at the site that doesn't have any sort of fencing on it, so somebody falls over, I'm responsible
You're
for it.
responsible for it.
You know
That's
what I mean?
crazy.
So at night, I'm over there, so especially when I'm doing
Yeah.
properties in Dorchester
Mm-hmm.
or let's say in Mattapan, right in front of a school.
Where you got kids walking by and stuff.
I did a project right on the heart of Mattapan, right up at Wellington Hill,
Mm-hmm.
off right on Outlook Road,
Mm-hmm.
right, and it's right in front of a school
Yeah.
of a, I believe it's a middle school if I'm not mistaken, and there's kids walking by constantly, right, and I'm over there taking out freaking break garage. You know what I mean? I'm demoing the whole house. I got a freaking demo chute going into the dumpster and
Yeah.
freaking dust going everywhere. You know what I
That's
mean?
scary, bro.
Then next thing you know, because it's the old freaking horse here, you take it out of there.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be careful with people walking by, this and that. It's just a lot of liabilities that goes into it. But because every fix and flip you purchase, it's a liability before it turns onto an asset.
100%.
Right? Because when you buy it all messed up, people be thinking, "Hey, I'm buying an asset." No, you're not.
No.
You're not buying an asset. You're buying a straight liability, and you're gonna turn
It's
it
not
onto
an
an
asset
asset
until it starts producing money.
until it starts either
And
producing
it
money
can't produce money in the condition that it's
or
in.
it's at a fair condition, or it's at a good condition where
You
you
can
can
make
either
money.
sell it
Yeah.
or cash flow off of it, or do something that brings you some sort
That's
of
a
revenue.
bar. Y'all should write that down. It is not an asset until pretty much it's ready to be either sold or to make money. Other than that, you're in a liability. So one thing I had a property that we're closing on in probably like 2 weeks out in Holyoke. Same situation.
Shoot.
I was shitting my pants, bro. The buyer, it was a wholesale, so we closed on it and then we immediately resold it. So the buyer that we're selling it to told us that they're gonna get the electricity put on because we just let it rock. And this is probably like a month or so ago. I didn't put the electricity on because I'm like, hey, the buyer's doing it.
That's right.
And it's been kind of warm. I think we'll be fine. Okay. So that was a Tuesday that the realtor told me that they were putting it on. Friday, she called me and said, hey, they didn't get it put on. And I'm like, no. And then I look at the weather. It's supposed to be like 20 degrees the whole entire weekend, and it was a holiday weekend.
Nah, it's freaking.
So I was shitting my pants
man.
the whole weekend. Then I get a text from my seller, who I bought the house from, on Tuesday with a picture of a freaking stream going outside of the house, and I was like, yo, it was coming out like if here's the foundation, it was coming outside of the foundation. So I'm like, and think about it, the basement is below that foundation. So in my mind, I'm thinking fucking worst case scenario, the whole entire basement's filled up with water. Like I'm shitting my pants, but we had a plumber go over there. It was a leak that was like in the corner. That's why I was going out in the street like crazy. There was only like an inch worth of water in the basement, but it was a scare. Like it probably would have got up to that point if the neighbor didn't see it.
Yeah, man, you gotta watch out. I've actually done a project where the basement kept on flooding all the freaking time, and I didn't even know what the fuck the issue was. I was thinking it was whether it could have been underground water or it could have been a leak from the foundation, but it was fieldstone, so I wasn't I was kind of a little skeptical whether it was underground water or if there was a crack on the foundation every time it rained, the basement flooded. But I ended up restocking the whole basement, reinforcing the concrete on top of the floor just because if it was underground water. But that doesn't really do anything because the best way to go about it is whether you have to do a frame strain system.
Yeah.
And I try to stay away from that. If I don't have to put a frame strain system, I don't do it. Like right now, I'm doing a project in Melrose where I had to dig down the basement because it was only 6'9". It was about 6 feet and 9 inches over the ceiling height. So I dug down. So there was a slab on there. I dug down the slab. I broke down all the concrete, then went down about another 2 feet to make it an even finish. Once everything is done, the concrete is poured, it's all complete. Even the flooring is done. It's gonna be a finished 8 feet.
Holy crap!
So it's a lot of freaking work. So with that being said, all around the property, all around in the basement, I want to do a frame strain.
Yeah.
Because when you don't do that, there's a high possibility that, when you sell the property, everything's done. The whole house is all sheetrock. Everything's completely done. Your property, top tier finishes. Then you sell the property because you put a year warranty on the house. Then they're reaching back out to you. Hey, man, what happened with the basement? The basement is flooded. And now you got to tear down the sheetrock
And that's now your responsibility.
It's my responsibility.
Yeah.
You got to tear down the sheetrock. The floors is popping out because of the humidity.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take down the floor. You got to take out the floors because you got to dig all around the house. You got to dig on the slab that's already there, that's all finished.
So just do it right the first time.
Just do it right the first time, and then just pour the concrete
Don't
over
cut
it and
corners.
keep it moving.
Because a lot of fix and flippers will try to cut corners through their
Spend the
projects.
money. That's what I say, man. Spend the money up front, get it done. The best way to save money in a fix and flip is time.
That's a bar too. Yeah, I'm gonna have to write that down.
You save money.
Say that one more time.
When you're doing fix and flips, the best way to save money is time.
That's a bar.
Time is everything. Because imagine let's say you secured a hard money loan when you bought the property. You secured it on a 10% rate. You bought the building, let's say, for $800,000. Then you put in $200,000 worth of work into it.
Yeah.
Then every time you ask for a draw, your principal increases. Right? Because you start being charged 10% on the acquisition loan, since the renovation is 100% financed by the lender in most cases. So every time you ask for a draw, let's say you out of that $200,000 worth of renovations that you have in the bank as a draw. Let's say you withdraw $10,000 from that against that $200,000. Now, if your loan is $800,000, the acquisition loan is $800,000. Now it's $810,000. So now you're being charged 10% on $810,000. Right. So it's always good to have the contingency, especially when you're starting a project. Have it's not just the down payment, closing costs, points, and all that. Right. You need to also have a reserve for the renovation.
Yeah. You know what I just found out? I found out my hard money lender charges us every single time that the guy goes there to check out the property.
Every hard money lender, that's how they do it.
Yeah.
They charge about $250 to $300.
Every single time.
Every single time.
I don't even know where that fee is. I never see it.
Just that's to pay the inspector. That's going there just to verify if you actually did the work. But
because I was talking to the inspector the other day and he's like, "Oh yeah, I can come here as much as I want. Every time I come here, I get $250." And then we start talking about it. And he's like, "Yeah, but that's on your tab." And I'm like,
"That's right."
Wait, shit! I thought that was a hard money lender.
Nah, that's on your tab, and it comes out of so it comes against your draw. So let's say your full renovation budget is $100,000. Every time they go, they charge you $250 against that that renovation budget.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Nah, that's how it goes. Now it's crazy because man, time is everything. Time is everything, right? When you get into those projects, you want to make sure you knock it out quick and keep it pushing. And let's say there's a quote that somebody gives you a quote. Let's say you budgeted $5,000. Somebody comes out and gives you a quote for $7,000. Pay the freaking money.
Just get it done.
Pay $7,000, $2,000 over what you projected. That's fine.
Plus, you're probably gonna pay that anyways
You're probably gonna pay that. Guess what? On interest.
Exactly.
And then you calculate the interest, right? For me, on all my projects, I calculate how much I'm paying on a daily basis, every day, right? So I see if my guys aren't being productive at the site every single day.
It costs me like $100.
It just costs me $187 and change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I gotta question what the heck was done at the site throughout the whole day, since this was a charge that I just got charged for not doing nothing.
Nah, legit.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's why even if I have to buy all those materials, that's another thing. Having materials on site for you guys is important. Don't call you guys to the site until all materials are there.
Because then they'll be sitting there dragging their feet.
Not even just that. Even subcontractors, you'll be messing up your relationships because you just call them, hey, come to the site, come do the work. They're pushing off other work that I have to do. They're coming to your site to come to find out you don't have enough materials to get the work done. So now they have to stop the work, right? And then
they lost a day's pay because they could have been at another. Yeah,
exactly.
If you were to give the people like some advice on how they can go start a fix and flip business, where would you tell them to start?
I would say first and foremost, building relationships with lenders. That's important, right? And hard money lenders, sometimes it'd be a regular, I wouldn't call them regular, but I would say it'd be, the guy who's who goes to the bar where you frequently go to.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere, and they're the CEOs of these hard money lending companies. Right? Yeah, it's just an individual like me and you, right? We've done a lot of developments. We've made multi-millions, and then we decided to start up a fund where we want to lend out our money, or we could brokerage out loans and all that good stuff, and leverage other other bigger firms, lenders of money that will lend it out on a spread.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but it's always good to build those relationships, because then now you have more personal,
I love
ways
that.
how to go about it, right?
Because
Because if it's just straight business, when you first starting, sometimes you may end up burning yourself a bit.
yeah,
Especially when you're trying to secure it, because when you first start, you're looking at a 12% rate.
exactly.
And if you don't know what the heck
You
you're
don't have
doing,
leverage because you haven't done other projects.
and you don't know what the heck you're doing right in the beginning, 12%,
I can
yeah, you
screw
still
you
have
up.
to learn, because you're gonna learn how to negotiate with contractors. You're gonna learn how to how to place your own draws, how to how to maintain your cash reserves, how to place your draws adequate as to how much you've spent. Right. Usually, I do 15% of the full draw. I mean, the full renovation cost. That's
Yeah.
my starting operating capital for the renovation. Right. Let's say it's 100 grand. I'll start with 15,000. Then every 15,000, I place a draw. I place a draw. I place a draw. Right. So you need to make sure everything is, you're calculating it right. Because if you don't,
Yo, he's giving you guys bars.
Because if you run out of cash while doing a renovation,
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Then you're asking Uncle Jeff and Auntie Jane,
everybody's
yo,
on you.
Can I get some money to finish this project?
That's right. No, but
Legit.
that comes down to what? Relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that could happen. That could happen. You could be a great developer, right? You could be a millionaire. You need 2 million. You need an extra million. You got to go out and find that million, right? You're a multimillionaire. You got 10 million. You need $11 million worth of net worth, to go out to a bank and borrow up some cash.
Yeah.
Well, you need a co-signer just because of that $1 million.
I like that.
You know what I mean? So it don't matter how much money you have. It's always good to have those relationships, because let's say I'm doing a fix and flip. I've invested onto a lot of deals, and I don't want to miss out on this good deal. Right? I'm buying the bill for 100 grand.
Yeah.
The down payment is 20%, but I only have 10,000. Let's say, for instance, I only have 10,000, but the down payment is 20,000. I'll come to you, hey Mike, what you mind giving me 10,000? I'll give you 10% equity in the deal.
Yeah.
I still hold freaking 90% of the deal, and you just made the deal happen for me, because by myself I couldn't make it happen.
Yeah.
Then boom, now I just made, rather than making 90,000, I just made 80,000 because I had to give you another 10 grand on top of your money.
Yeah, that's it. Everybody eats, B.
Everybody eats, and you make it happen, man.
That's it.
That's all.
I love the advice that you gave on, because here's where a lot of people will start. If I asked that question, somebody would have said, well, you got to go find a deal. You got to go door knock, or whatever the case is. I don't agree. I'm with you. I think since they're all different businesses, like we talked about, wholesale, fix and flip, buy and hold, they're all separate businesses. The fix and flip business, where you really make your money is the relationships with all your vendors.
That's right.
So the advice you gave on, hey, go find the vendors that are going to help you buy the deals from the wholesalers. Let the wholesalers do their job.
Let them do their job.
And get the deals for you.
Secure your finance, and make sure you have
secure your team. Yeah.
Yep. Secure your team, the best financing deals. Because I'm not sure if you know, also a loan officer, hard money loan officer.
Yeah.
So I could tell you, build your relationships. It's, especially when you don't know what the heck you're doing right in the beginning, right? When you hop in the industry, imagine, as I said, 12%, and you don't know what the heck you're doing. You're trying to figure the game out on 12%. Then you have a year-long loan. I know guys that their first deal took them about a year. By the time they finished the deal, they were negative 100 grand, 200 grand.
Damn.
Because they put the money out of their pocket to finalize, because then they thought it was going to cost them 200 grand. When they got there, the whole foundation was clapped, right? And then they had to renew them. They had to jack up the whole house and freaking steel metal beams.
I was talking to a guy the other day. He was like, I learned. He was like, I lost $60,000 on my first fix and flip, and I learned probably $1 million worth of education though.
That's right. But that's how it go, man. Look, you got to be able to take losses. That's what I tell people all the time. If you think you're getting onto business and you're just gonna win and win and win, well, you're bullshitting yourself. And the sooner you understand that you're gonna fail, but you just have to stand back up and just do what you do
and look at it as a win.
Look at it as a win. That's all it is, because there's always a learning lesson that comes with it.
With everything.
Always, at all times. Even if you lose 60 grand, next time maybe you lose 30.
Yeah.
The next time maybe you lose
nothing. Maybe you make 60 grand.
Maybe you make 60
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's all about getting to the finish line of the project. That's when you find out what you're making, right? Because in the beginning, it's all about projections. Because
Mm-hmm.
then when you get in there, that's when the real thing starts.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you realize, there's something inside of the walls that you wasn't expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you take down the walls, is this and that. That's a hazard. It has to be taken down. Then now
Yeah.
you got to get out the whole house.
On every single one, there's always some shit that you did
Always
not.
something, man. On every single, I've never bought a property where I haven't learned $1 million worth of gain from it.
Mm.
I've never bought a house I didn't learn nothing from.
So guys, do whatever it takes to buy a freaking house so you can get your education. Marco, where do these people find you at?
Man, you can find me on IG, Marco_Morais, Morais 95.
Love it.
Yes,
This guy
sir.
knows his fix and flip stuff. If you guys have any fix and flips in what around Boston or
Boston, North Shore, South Shore, I'm here for
he's your buyer. And if you need a hard money loan, he's your guy.
it.
Marco, appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate it, brother.
Boom. Marco is a freaking savage. Like, fix and flip is not easy, and this cat makes it look easy. And he knows his stuff. Like, after this interview, I sat down and we were just chopping it up in the office for like an hour, just chatting. I'm like, dang, this guy knows his stuff. Like, he is a very smart dude when it comes to fix and flip. So, what you guys want to do, if you guys are out wholesaling, you guys want to dip your feet and try to get into fix and flip. At least do a deal or so just to get your feet wet so that you have an understanding. I love what Marco said. He was like, it's important that you want to get into at least one property and buy the property and understand how the numbers work and management works and everything like that. And then your wholesale business will actually be a little bit easier. So if you guys are just wholesaling right now, like, keep your wholesale business going, focus on that, focus on that, focus on that. But if you see that you're having a little bit more time freed up, I would recommend trying to get into a fix and flip because it's going to help your wholesale business. But I hope y'all enjoyed this interview. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification, and don't forget that free private Facebook group. I'm going to see y'all in the Facebook group.